प्रदीप सर फेसबुक खोलना, यूजे के पेज पे जाना। हेलो हेलो
Yeah, I know. You mean on the... So now? I thought mine is at 10:10, isn't it? So I'm the first speaker?
Hello, everyone. Are we waiting to get started, or I just not sure?
We are going to start it.
Oh, no problem. Sorry.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. Somebody called me, so I'm not sure. So I muted my mic because I thought we're all waiting for something.
प्रियंका भी साइज बढ़ाना, प्रियंका इसी का साइज रहेगा वीडियो का, थंबनेल का साइज।
was first to start as Eugene coach here in Calgary.
You are first to start. Just wait.
But-
I just some confusion here on with the mic problem there.
Okay.
Just to introduce you. It's the problem.
Oh, no problem. I will stand by. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Just wait. Kindly wait just for a minute or so.
Mr. Chair, I think I was first to start as Eugene coach here in Calgary. Oh, no problem. I will stand by. I'm sorry. Thank you.
There is some problem of sound is not coming up. That's why there is a big problem. Within a minute or so. We are looking for it. What is okay? We are able to hear you.
ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਮਾਈਕ ਮਿਊਟ ਤੇ ਹੈ ਮਾਈਕ ਉਹ ਮਿਊਟ ਤੇ ਰੱਖੀ ਹੋਈ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ
किन्ने? हाँ इन्ने.
ਜਿਹਨੇ ਸਪੀਕਰ ਹੈ ਬੁਲਾਓ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਕਹੋ ਕਿ ਭਾਈ ਅਨਮਿਊਟ ਕਰੇ ਕਾਨਫਰੰਸ ਵਾਲੇ ਬਾਰ-ਬਾਰ ਕਹਿ ਰਹੇ हैं
हाँ. You unmute your mic, please.
मैं वॉइस नहीं आ रही
ਰਾਈਟਿੰਗ ਹੀ ਭੇਜ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ ਤੇ ਬਾਰ-ਬਾਰ
अच्छा.
No, which
Unmute
speaker?
your mic.
Which speaker?
You. Your
No,
mic
me?
is unmute. Kindly unmute it so that we can listen. Thanks.
Yeah, but I'm not saying anything right now, so I thought it's.
No, we are not telling you, sir. Professor Raghu, we are not telling you. We are talking to Professor Queen.
मैम आपकी वॉइस नहीं आ रही है सारे कॉन्फ्रेंस में जितने बंदे हैं ना सारे बोल रहे हैं जितने भी गेस्ट हैं
Sorry.
इसमें
I was to go first, but you
आपकी
said
वॉइस
to
ही नहीं आ
wait
रही मैम
until-
इसमें सारे गेस्ट बोल रहे हैं
No, it is okay.
जल्दी करवाऊंगा मेरे सारे गेस्ट बोल रहे हैं बहुत
Okay. Should I begin, or does someone want to say good morning?
इनका माइक वैसे म्यूट पे तो नहीं है प्रदीप सर अभी कोई नहीं बंदा देखना प्रदीप को सारे बड़े बड़े
Just got a note from conference to unmute my mic, and I am unmuted. So just
मैं तो लाइव कर चल रहा है मेरा
So we listen to him. We're clear. No, his voice is clear now.
Oh yes. Kindly start, please.
Are you talking to me, sir?
I am talking to you, sir.
Okay, away we go. I will start. Here we go.
Oh yes, kindly start. We should take it up other things later because time is running out.
How much time do I have to keep you on?
Sir, as you have 20 minutes with you.
Oh, okay. I thought perhaps we'd use some of that time. So off we go. I'll just
Oh yes,
begin.
kindly start.
Okay. You should be seeing a PowerPoint deck on screen.
Okay. We will love to hear.
Okay, here we go. So my name is Dr. Eugene Couch. I'm going to talk about re-engineering innovation skills and education ecosystems. Welcome to your second morning of a wonderful conference. Here where I am, it is dark at 10 o'clock at night. So hello on a Friday here and a Saturday there. I've got a set of experience, including leadership in higher education and professional associations. I've been the chair of the American Research Association Chaos and Complexity Theory SIG, and I'm a research fellow at the Osaka University Faculty of Education. I'm also in Education Leadership Policy and Governance at the University of Calgary. I have worked kind of around the world and spent a lot of time with KMUTT in Bangkok, and I was happy to be with GERA and the amazing Professor Bawa here last year with GERA. I work largely in innovation and leadership and educational technology, and my graduate students study adaptive systems and systemic change. So today we're going to talk about three things. In these 20 minutes, we'll talk about quickly the forces of education system change. What's causing us to want to change? Your conference is all about that, so I'll go through it briefly. Then we'll talk about leading education systems. When you innovate, you need to lead as well. And there's different approaches to leading that match new approaches to innovation. And I'm going to show you those things from a couple of published papers I've done recently and some research. And this is the main paper I'm accessing with Dr. Surapan Bunlu of KMUTT at the University in Bangkok. Here we go. Forces for education system change. So what are we seeing as the major forces in the research? There's 5 of them. Change towards blended online learning. People are accepting it and liking it and hating it, but seeing that we can do things online easier and better in so many ways in education. The digital divide is a problem. It's worsening online learning and blended learning and computer-assisted learning for many. It's hampering change for many who don't have infrastructure in their country or in their home, or they don't have financial means. As everyone knows, it's also giving others an advantage who do have those infrastructure. So we're going to rediscover the digital divide a little more closely with a much wider application of distance learning, particularly due to COVID. This is right in line with the government of India's national education policy, which you spoke of last year in this conference. And it says that technology is going to be a part of things. Clusters and networks will be formed, and that is the way to organize innovation, I say later in this presentation, and that institutional reconsolidation is going to occur. So there'll be a lot of different leadership and reorganizing, I think, with technology, and that's the stuff I study. So we're going to talk about that today. Academic partnerships on the rise, because we're going to have to share data platforms, and we're going to be sharing programs a lot more between institutions and between universities. That's happening in North America and Europe, all over Asia. As the pandemic ends, our governments are in tremendous debt, and education will be having to do more with less again, and we're going to have to find more efficient ways of organizing our innovation, especially in education, which in North America is the second largest expense to the governments. The first expense, of course, is healthcare. So there's this vast experiment going on, and university costs are rising with inflation and just rising overall. So change is nigh. Telework, working from home, for us, for professionals, for students, parents, and everyone, seems more possible than it did a couple of years ago. We've known how to do this for 30 years. We've had the theory and practice for it, but people didn't think of it the way they're thinking of it now. We're seeing demand now for more choice to work from home. I think we're going to have to lead with that in mind. Preparing our students to succeed in that kind of an environment as learners and then as workers and as people, it's going to matter a little bit more. I have a new book out, a major reference work with Springer. It's called Systems Thinking and Change. It's the most modern thinking on the theory, practice, and examples of systems thinking in a new way, nonlinear systems thinking change. You're welcome to read it. This is informing much of my presentation. So, what are the change forces? Online learning, a digital divide, and having to deal with that. Teacher preparation, online, new partnerships, higher tuition, telework from home, and I didn't cover it, but wellness and post-colonial revision, considering our nation's after decolonization a little more carefully for equity, diversity, and inclusion. And that's all part of the wellness picture that COVID's giving us. So we have to lead a little differently. What's that mean? Well, we have to shift from an industrial age, everything's a process and bureaucracy, to a more information age, non-linear way of thinking. That's important because everything is connected. We're starting to realize in leading innovation that when we innovate in a small part of an organization, if it's effective, it'll change the whole place, the whole school, the whole university. But how do you do that? And some people don't do that. They innovate in a small part of the system. But I take a systems-wide view to look at the impact of broad, sweeping innovations that actually are innovations that change the product and process of the organization, not just how it operates. So we're tending towards more informal leaders as influencers, not as managers, not in a position as much influence, a place with a network, more social perspective, from linear systems to generative, non-linear systems is how we're seeing education organizations that are flexible. My doctoral students are just publishing on this right now. So less formal, more flexible systems. How do we create them? We know that learners, instructors, infrastructure, services, leadership, institutional governance, and our government are all connected. We used to think of them as separately. Now the lines are blurred. We need to work, and we are working more together with the influences of history, social justice, pandemics. We're in an ecosystem, not a vertical, linear system as much as an interconnected, constantly changing ecosystem. There are many, like we used to look at the rain cycles, there are many features that affect our schools, our universities, and our learners at the same time. So how do we address that? How do we deal with that as leaders? Well, we look at networks of relations instead of hierarchical structures. On the left, the hierarchy. We're familiar with those in education. We still have hierarchy and bureaucracy, but we're working towards more networked, relation-based systems where the right people work on the right things at the right time. Examples of complex organizations I have shown you before. Homeland Security in the USA works this way. Triage in the medical system is now working this way. More around networks of triage around people and problems, not instead of running people through all the separate functions of a hospital. And Google has worked this way for some time. So we need to switch from industrial to information age thinking so that we are less linear and more connected when we start to implement and develop innovations in a more open, holistic way, distributing our influence among the people that matter to getting the innovation done. Sorry, did someone have a question?
No. Please carry on.
Okay, then the third point is we need to, this is the core of the innovation stuff, ecosystem thinking about research and innovation. So we have to reconceptualize how we innovate. And this is important. We think of innovation as change a lot, little tiny changes to things. We call it an innovation because it's something new. But true innovation has a definition. I'm going to go to that in a second. So thinking about research and innovation now as an ecosystem, everything's connected. Change in education is incremental improvements usually. Higher math scores in a school, we can improve what we do. We sometimes buy a tutor, get tutors or apps, and we improve the scores. That's incremental. We're building on what we have. It's a closed system. We're using known improvements to make the school work better, to have better output. But innovation is about a new process and product from the whole school. So if you wanted higher enrollment or new teaching methods and student skills by, say, online pedagogy and face-to-face pedagogy, that would be a different school than the one you have. If that was your goal, you have to innovate. Change or innovate, up to you. Okay, so we're moving from more formal to informal innovation leadership so that we can fit it in to an organization, a school or a university that has to adapt, because most often they can't adapt. Schools and universities are bad at adapting, at least in North America. There's a chapter you can read that I published on exactly this, how to do this in universities. And this is coming from a keynote I did a couple of years ago. As far as the fusion of innovation and change goes, that's the first way we started thinking of innovation, the Rogers S-curve. We'll talk about that in a second. We talk about systemic change in education too. More complex, interrelated systems that aren't linear. And then there's disruptive innovation by Christensen you've all heard of. I'm going to talk about that quickly. I'm going to show you why some of these aren't working anymore for us in leadership and how we have to think differently. And that's the theme of your conference. Wonderful conference. Innovation thinking is changing from buy-in, linear adoption on the S-curve, toward creating the opportunity for doing things differently through experimentation and by listening to tensions in the organization. On the left, we pick something off the shelf and try it, an app, if you will, as a metaphor. On the right, we're experimenting through research and development. We need to get back to first principles a little more. I'll show you why. Sometimes, we do science in high school, and we adopt to a school context. We buy a kit, a garden kit, and we teach it that. It's an app. We buy an existing kit, we hope the early adopter teachers will use it, then all the teachers will use it, then we'll go to something else. That's the S-curve, a linear, they learn their way in, they adopt it, and then they find their way out of it. But we're finding that isn't the case with most things these days, especially with technology. If we want to do real innovation, we have to create something new. Say we want to really widen our offering in science to study much more than just science of plants. School gardening is one type of experiment like that, where there's a whole bunch of classes connected to just doing the garden, a whole bunch of curriculum. So we're trying to make more holistic learning setups that are problem-based and innovate that way. I'll give you an example. There's one I saw in the University of Chulalongkorn in Bangkok, where the students are getting their degrees. Part of it is beekeeping. Another part of it, of course, is physics, calculus, and math. But they're doing things in society and in the lab together to be better engineers in that case. So I'm going to show you two formal and one less formal approach to innovation. The diffusion of innovations is formal. It's an adoption of an existing solution. So if you don't have an existing solution to a problem to change your education system, you can't adopt it. You need a different way of innovating. Disruptive innovation is a new value proposition. We go from one thing to another, from wired houses to wireless houses. We do that overnight. We don't learn our way into the adoption. We just adopt it. These are both market-based linear models. I'll show you a little more on those two. They're both from business. But emergence and complexity theory is telling us that if we look at the tensions in our schools and universities and we do research to find solutions, we'll probably come up with something that we really want to do differently, a new process, and we'll have a different product, different education outcome, different organization, different place. From a caterpillar to a moth, and that's what people call transformation. And we're starting to see how in nature this happens and learn from it. So I'm going to talk a little bit about this. We accept that things are unsteady. We'll go through the diffusion of innovations first very quickly. It's 1963 this came out. Linear systems are a cause-effect relationship. We adopt something, we start to implement it, and there's a predictable curve for that. Innovators develop something new. Early adopters pick it up. Majority adopters start to use it. Everybody's using it, doing it, say the higher math app. Late majority users pick it up later on, and the laggards never pick it up. But by then, most everyone's done something with it, and math scores rise. Here's another way of looking at it. We've got the enthusiasts or champions pick something up at the beginning. Pragmatists who know they have to do better work, pick it up next, and they get better work done. Security seekers do it because everybody else is doing it and they're afraid of their jobs if they don't use it, and the laggards just stay sleeping. So that's the S-curve. The trouble with the S-curve is the x-axis is elastic. There's no time scale. And we use this curve for all of our budgeting. The government uses this. This is still in massive use. But there's a problem here. If you don't have an app or a solution to adopt, you have to develop one, and that's what researchers are good at. So the limits to the formal adoption curve that have been found in the research, and read that chapter, are as I've just talked about. But the x-axis is unpredictable. It's an economic model and assumes a fairly closed system. Disruptive innovation Clayton Christensen showed it. He thought distance learning would do that. I'm not sure it would. But he says we're attracted to certain things instantly. We don't learn or adopt our way in early, middle, late. We just go straight for it. Like I gave you an example of the GPS in our cars. If you have a GPS in your car, you don't use a map anymore, a paper map. You went straight to that. So many institutions are going for this model. The trouble is to create that GPS or some new, it's still an app, some new function or value takes a great deal of work and luck, and it's based on what the need in the market is. Educators aren't good at that. For example, you have a human tutor that's not always available, not too wise, kind of late and things, people aren't happy. If you put the argument with the AI guys is they put in an AI tutor and they're always available, they're a little more knowledgeable, and they always are there for the student. The student will be happier. The student switches from one type of value process to another with the AI tutor, and everyone tries to build the AI tutor as an education system. That's fine if you can do that kind of research and development, but it doesn't come from within the organization. Who needs an AI tutor? Not everybody. Who needs tutors? Not all systems. So that's another version of adopting an app. Emergence is different. You look for tensions in the ecosystem. Things are shaking. There's trouble. Like here in Canada right now, we're having a real problem with people not wanting vaccinations, some. And there are big protests you're hearing on the world news today that are being disassembled, but it's troubling to Canada. We're peaceful. We never have these things happen. But today, we're dismantling one in our capital city. You're seeing this around the world. So there's disequilibrium due to COVID, and everyone's not very happy. Then somebody thinks of something. How can we change? The tensions lead to an experiment. The researchers find some new product or process. Like I'll use distance learning as an observation in higher education. We're trying it now, and it's starting to catch on. And now I think it's going to change the way we do a lot of our degree programming. So then we may amplify it, we may develop it, research it, get evidence on how to implement it, and then use the S-curve to get it into the system. Then once it's out there, we build policies and processes around it, fund it, get it stabilized, and then it probably just disappears. So as your organization emerges from stable, not changing, to very high change over time, goes through that disequilibrium period, then the new skill for leaders is to see the cusp of change. When someone wants to experiment something truly new, like blended learning in our undergrad program, for example, where I am, we tried it and it worked. And we're just shocked. The students actually prefer it because it's more flexible. So this is a little different than the S-curve. You go through this period of craziness, then the cusp, you experiment, R&D, then we kick in the usual S-curve. We know what works, new product process, and we make it work system-wide. So that was there's a chapter I'm mentioning on it. So what do? We want to move you from diffusing an application or a solution to, oops, my time is up, to adopting, and from adopting and creating these apps and external things in our schools and systems, to doing research and development, finding new solutions as a solution to the problem, and it changes who we are. So we talked about the forces that change us, how do you lead differently, and how to innovate differently. In 20 minutes, there you are, man, Mr. Chair. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Wonderful, Professor Eugene, you have wonderfully said to Hata Sandhavad. Anyway, friends, we are really grateful to Professor Eugene. He has really wonderfully told that how we have changed from industrial age to information age, from linear to non-linear, formal to informal, systemic changes there, and to adopt to creating the innovations. That's what he has wonderfully said. We are really grateful to you, sir. It was a learning experience for us. Many of the points which you have raised are really wonderful, critical, and many questions could be there, but because the next speaker is to be there, so we will not be asking those questions to you, but you have wonderfully explained how the diffuser of innovations and how the disruptive innovations are together at this time in order to have a different type of ecosystem in the education system. Thank you very much, sir. Grateful to you. Friends, may I call upon Professor Saroj Sharma is the next. she is the chairperson NIOS. NIOS is National School of National Institute of Open Schools. Sorry, because I wanted to introduce you. So, friends, she is a young lady and she has done a lot of work in the open education system. Welcome, madam. And she will be talking to us on technology access and socio-cultural values. Our next speaker is Professor Raghu and KMUTT. So, first of all, let us listen to Professor Saroj Sharma. She is going to talk to us on technology access and socio-cultural values. Welcome, Professor Saroj Sharma. Kindly start.
Manota Saab, you are actually on 2 screens. So you might, I don't know, we are seeing it twice. That's okay.
I will look into this.
Yeah, Professor S.P. Malhotra, President GERA India, Professor S.K. Baba, President Headquarter GERA, my fellow speakers, Professor Kwach and Professor Kritika, and also Dr. Jain Balaya, who is looking after this particular session. All the participants, warm greetings from myself. And I represent an organization that Professor Malhotra quoted, National Institute of Open Schooling. It is one of 2 school boards of India, and I would like to update the forum that it's world's largest open schooling system. Around 4.5 billion students are there, and it is our education is through open and distance learning mode. And in last 2 years of pandemic, we have seen its great importance in society, and sometimes I receive a phone call from different domains of world and different places of world that we are quite significant in this current pandemic period. But yes, we have a role of content development, content dissemination, and also evaluation. And Professor Koch rightly said that recent period was a period where we saw that online education has become a necessity. Though there is a debate in world that quite conventional system should be there, or online mode how good or bad, but let the debate go on. But we should take the good aspects of online education. And when we have seen that many aspects have been influenced by this corona period and online education. Yes, problems are there, as Professor Koch rightly said, that digital divide is there. But here we have to bring a solution. And in this area, we are working a lot to how to bridge the gap, how to bridge this digital divide, which we are experiencing, whole world is experiencing, where internet facility is not that stronger, because a lot of load has come on the these 5G and 4G kinds of techniques. So the topic which I was given by GERA to speak about is technology, access and socio-cultural values. So when we see our whole culture is world has become a global village, and the day we are discussing what Millennium 2030 goals are, what are the Millennium 2020 goals are, and the whole world, which the base was the Delors Commission 4-pillar education, that is learning to know, learning to do, learning to be, and learning to live together. So learning to live together was quite significant, and yes, it is quite significant globally. So when we talk about technology, access and socio-cultural values, we see many festivals are celebrated. Online mode has come, and online has reached into our houses, it has reached to our study room, it has reached to our bedroom. So culture is directly influenced by technology, and yes, it is a vice versa. Technology is influencing the culture, socio-cultural impact is seen, and that is reflected in educational scenario also. I will request you to kindly make it full screen, my presentation. Please make it full screen. No problem, I'll just discuss it. So as I introduce the topic, there are three salient points which I will like to focus. That is, technology and socio-cultural values exist in dynamic and reciprocal relationship. As I said, that these days we are celebrating Valentine Day, we are celebrating Friendship Day, we are celebrating Family Day, we are celebrating many Women's Day. So these are the days which are being celebrated and which are being popularized by social media too. Somewhere I read that many Archies and many other such kind of companies have raised their income by these kind of transactions, these kind of advertisement, and their cards, greeting cards, their gifts have taken a next level sale and purchase situation. So here, role of media, role of technology intervention is seen in our culture, which is directly affected by, we can see its positive or negative role too, but what I mean to say, its direct influence is being witnessed that in society, in culture, our socio-cultural heritage, as well as the future generation, future intervention, future roadmap is definitely defined by technology these days. And when we say about any culture, social unit comprehends the technology through its tradition, beliefs, myths, and values. Sometimes opinions are taken that it is bad or good. There are many debates in world that what kind of, why we should not, greenhouse effect is discussed, why our festival should be green, why we should eat greens, or how to become eco-friendly in many other aspects. Here, social media, electronic devices, technology interventions, popularization, these have major roles in traditions, beliefs, myths, and values. We get to know many things. We get to know many researches, what kind of beliefs were earlier and what kind of beliefs these days youths thinks. We say that we have very good music tradition, but now the world, as I said, that world has become a global village. Indian students are very much inclined toward Korean songs. BTS is a popular group over here also. Globally, the language barrier, I think it is disseminating, language barrier is diffusing. So also our national education policy, as Professor Koch has also mentioned, that last year national education policy was implemented, and we as stakeholder of education sector, National Institute of Open Schooling is also in the implementation process. I would like to update the forum that we have introduced sign language. Our Prime Minister Narendra Modi, in last November, he introduced sign language as language in NIOS like any other language of the world, Hindi, English, Sanskrit, or French, German. We have introduced sign language as language, and we have given it a course code. And for that, UNESCO has awarded us King Sejong Award. So this gives encouragement to do better in this area. So what I mean to say, that language is also influenced by this social media, this electronic media, and through sign language and through electronic devices, we are able to communicate in better way. And also there are three major aspects of national education policy, that is access, equity, and quality. When we talk about access, equity, and quality, it has emphasized on skill development and also value inculcation. So again, I will say how culture is influenced. There is one world bank project that is called Tejaswini. NIOS is teaching and also upgrading the skills of tribal girls in Jharkhand area of India. So these girls are given training, these girls are trained so that they can become self-dependent. There is again Kasturba Gandhi girls school system in India. In Rajasthan and Gujarat, we are also training them through online mode. When I am talking about we are teaching, we are training, it is all through open and distance mode. Recently, we have signed an MOU with Ministry of Skill Development, and we are going to teach 36 laborers of unorganized sector. So this is also MOU. We are teaching them, we are training them with online and distance mode. So this is the importance of technology intervention in socio-cultural sector. In socio-cultural way, culture is influenced in a better way. Here sitting in NIOS headquarters in Delhi, and with the help of 23 regional centers, we are able to upgrade the skills, we are able to certify these skilling, we are able to educate these laborers. The number is 36 lakhs, and also the girls. There is one project, UN Women Project, United Nations Women Project in NIOS, and we have studied 4 states in India, and we are working towards marginalized sector, orphans, the women who are unable to continue their education, transgenders, the economically weaker section group of the society, LGBT, and other these kind of things. Sex workers are also there. So we are identifying them, and we are bringing into main forum of education. So we are educating them through open and distance mode, through online mode. And also we have, in India, we have 12 television channels. These channels are dedicated to, each channel is dedicated to one class. It is called PM E-Vidya channel. There are 12 channels, and its studio is in NIOS headquarters. So National Council for Educational Research and Training, NCRT, and NIOS. These 2 organizations are jointly working on PM E-Vidya channel, and we are into content development, content dissemination, and I will it is very interesting fact that twice in a week we disseminate our content through sign language mode, and also vocational courses. We have 103 vocational courses. That education is also given through online mode, through our television channels, and also community radio. When we are discussing about digital divide, these interventions are very much useful there, where we are using technology for the sake of society. Education is considered as service sector. So why I am talking here, there's several projects of UNESCO, several projects of Government of India. It is reaching to unreached sector of the society, unreached section of the society. So technology intervention has a great role and a very positive impact. Yes, when we are talking about, we should see the second side of the coin too. And for that, if it is technology is not reaching through digital divide, we have to work furthermore. 3 days back Prime Minister has also introduced that there will be 100 television channels to reach every section of the society. I think this will be a great effort, great initiative to bring technology to the largest section of the society through online mode. Yes, Google cannot replace a teacher from the classroom. Online education is a substitute, but why not use online education? Why not use digital devices? Why not use technology and other kind of interventions in classroom? And a very symbiotic relationship will develop in the classroom situation where we talk of blended education. I think we should take it to the next level, where virtual labs will be there, where virtual classroom will be there. And I will also like to update the forum that Education Minister of India has launched virtual school few months back, and NIOS is taking its lead. And till December 16, we have enrolled 90,000 students in virtual schools. So it is a success story. So virtual laboratory, virtual admission, virtual tutor marks assignment. And yesterday I asked the person, the head of the computer section, he updated me that 2,20,000 tutor marks assignment have been uploaded on the virtual school website. Tutor marks assignment we have introduced an app. On this particular app, students are uploading their assignments, and we will also examine the assignments and give them marks. So what I mean to say, content development, content dissemination, and evaluation. these three are the integral part of any education system. So online examination, online content dissemination, online content development. Diksha is a portal. Yes, I agree. Diksha is a portal of Government of India. Swayam is a portal where massive online open courses are there. And we at NIS, we have also given 46 Swayam courses on Swayam portal, and also on Diksha portal we have videos, audio video content on this Diksha portal. Videos are there in sign language for deaf students. Inclusion is a policy which National Education Policy talks about. So for inclusion, I have discussed about sign language. For talking books, facility of talking books is there in our NIS website. Talking books are available for visually challenged students. So for these special children, for inclusion, these kind of electronic interventions are very much needed, where we are marching ahead, and gone are the days where we were criticizing online education, because it has become the reality of today's scenario. So yes, with a blended mode, with conventional as well as open and distance mode, and scientific and significant use of technology, we can take the education to the next level. I'm just taking to the third slide, which is technology access. I will take it to the little past, when there was a cave period when ancient humans were writing, depicting their feelings on the walls of the cave. That language is still unreadable. Human beings are not able to read that pictorial language. So we have to work in that area further. We have to take carbon dating and many other kind of things, language through technology, and we will be able, AICT has launched an app through many languages can be translated. When we talk about language, we are having our content in 16 mediums in secondary level and 8 mediums in senior secondary level, and through technology we are able to translate these languages into different mediums. So here technology also comes, which empowers the human ability to speak, understand, mingle and contact with each other, where there will not be a language barrier. So technology access is there in society. And also the second point is technique of shaping tools can be considered as one of the earliest evidences of the use of technology by humans, which the advanced form we can see. Language, rituals, values, art, etc. are very much influenced by technology. We are discussing these days toy-based pedagogy. NCRT and NIS both have worked a lot in this area. We have made videos, we have made different electronic toys, so that students can get hands-on activity, as well as they will be able to learn through online toys, electronic toys. In pandemic period, students were very much involved in chess and other Ludo and other games through electronic media. We all have witnessed such kind of games. Cards are there. So these kind of games are there, but whatever is there which is useful, the kind of examples they are having content, with the context of their content where we are teaching them, we can use this electronic toy-based pedagogy, which is a recent concept. So on this is also part of cultural interventions, where we can tell them the story of our ancient past, with the stories of our society, with the stories of our our grandma's stories, our grandparents should be involved in such kind of things. So here pedagogy is very much influenced with the family environment. So families are also getting aware of technological interventions. So I think culture is very much influenced these days through technology. And when we talk about socio-cultural values, yes, here I have one apprehension that recent few researchers have come that a lot of influence of mental health, a lot of concerns of mental health we have witnessed these days. So Government of India has also started one program, Manodarpan, where counseling, psychological counseling was done to the students through online mode. In the pandemic period, students were not able to contact their friends, not able to come to the schools. So a kind of loneliness was there. So here they were able to speak out their heart to the counselors. So Manodarpan is the program. Through online counseling, I think it is a very useful aspect of online technological interventions in education sector. So cultural values, yes, it is influencing a lot. Sometimes we see in restaurant, just on a lighter note, I can see it has become a reason of divorces also, because couples are very much inclined on mobiles. We can go in restaurant, we can see everybody is looking at the phone. In a home also, students are all the time on the phone. We all are working on our laptops. We are having online meetings. So here somewhere the isolation, the technological isolation, I can see we don't have many friends in person, but we have many friends on social media. So here I think there must be some balance, how to use, when to use, why to use. Where it is necessary, we should use this technology, and where it is not necessary, we should spend time with friends, we should spend time with family. Technology should not be barrier in family values, family communication, and family living. So I think here we have to respect our socio-cultural values in other way, and technology should not impact the familial values. And when I see global and Indian perspective, we can see Indian scenario. I think world has become a global village. So whatever is there in India, that is found globally, and whatever there is globally, we can see in India, Google is there, many other apps are there, various electronic gadgets are there. So things are same, but when we see factors affecting the access, so there is some facts with me. Share of internet users in urban areas has increased twice as high as in rural areas. This is one aspect. Here we have to check the digital divide. 71% of world's population aged between 15 to 24 years is accessing internet. This is one of data. And compared to 57% of all the other age group. This is another data. And again, if we see the gender, I have talked about the age factor. When we see the gender, 62% men are using the internet compared to 57% of women globally. And digital gender divide exists. Women remain digitally marginalized. This is one fact which I got through internet. So now my time is running short, so I will just brief it. Socio-cultural values determines technology access. How it is determined? Socio-cultural values. Patterns of thinking. Yes, it is impacting our patterns of thinking. Technology access is influencing people who perceive technology. Some people are against, some are very much in favor of technology. Both the extremes are bad. And then levels of innovation, willingness to accept uncertainty, these has come. Behavioral interventions, this has also come. Technological intervention has impacted behavior a lot. Anxiety, BP, these kind of things have been witnessed. We are very much inclined towards gadgets. We are very much interested in our gadgets. All the movies, all the television, teleserials, we are spending a lot of time on gadgets. It is giving adverse effect on our health, mental health as well as physical health. So these kind of positive and negative things are there, and technology impacts the socio-cultural values. When I say technology enables access to education, this is one positive aspect where I will like to emphasize, and because I am in this area, I am very much into this, how to enable technology to access education, and also one positive thing is makes information readily available. It makes society a learned society. It ensures inclusiveness, effective communication. It ensures effective communication and facilitate interpersonal connections in larger ways. And in conclusion, please put my last slide. When we concluded, culture acts as a standard for perceiving, judging and evaluating technology. Yes, we are here to make the culture techno-savvy, but yes, it is also a responsibility to make a balance between use of technology, impact of technology, and make technology, we have to make technology our slave, not the master. So this point has to be taken care of. Technology affects all the components of culture and impacts social values. It determines the socio-cultural development of the society, that I agree, and they both have cyclical codependence and co-influence upon each other. So this was the crux of my presentation. Again, I will reiterate that there is two sides of every coin and there are positive and negative aspects. We have to take every positive aspect and we have to also take care of the concerns which are evolving. So a balance is much needed thing, and man is a social animal. So let technology make us, let technology not make us electronic animal. Let's be human being first, and technology should, the button of technology should be our hand, and we should be wise enough to use the technology in socio-cultural upgradation with the use of education. Thank you for inviting me, Mr. Malhotra, Professor Bhava. Namaskar. Valia ji, namaskar. My namaskar to all.
Thank you very much, Saroj. It was really nice. The message you have given is wonderful. That technology has its impact as it is perceived. Really wonderful message you have given. Thank you very much. May I now call upon Professor Raghu to enlighten us about the future values and strategic thinking. Professor Raghu, please.
I think they gave me a different topic though, so I really apologize. There was confusion about topics, what they gave me, so between those two, so I really apologize. So I'm going to speak about the two speakers they presented before. So if I may share my slides.
Yes, kindly please.
Okay. This. So can you see the slide presentation here?
We can see.
Okay, good. All right. So again, as I said, I really apologize. There were confusions about what topic I should talk about. So finally, they said you talk what you wanted, kind of stuff. So this one is not going to be. I prepared for about 2 or 3 days on this topic, and I read about it from various sources before. But first of all, let me say that I really am happy to see many of your faces which are familiar to me from last time and also in Bangkok. And next time maybe I'll see you guys in person on your campus. That's what I really wanted to do that. And so normally we forget about references. So I always put references. I put an I in front of responsible. So with a different spelling, irresponsible innovations. I'm going to speak a little bit about it, and it's going to be almost repetition of what you heard. There are many, many sources online and also textbooks. I would like to first acknowledge my sincere thanks to GERA and also Universe Group of Institutions. Sawadee Ka to KMUTT. I was a scholar there, and they really treated me very well. I really enjoyed Bangkok. I came 2 or 3 times, and I also want to thank Professor Bawa, Professor Malhotra, and I think they also want to thank the university for making me one of the visiting faculty or visiting professors there. There are many students here, research scholars, and all the faculty. I thank all of them. So, quick introduction about myself. I'm from Flint, Michigan. Had some problems in 2016, 2017 with water in Flint itself. Water got contaminated. So this is a social problem. So there was no innovation which was possible. We had pipes, we had a lid inside. So it has really taken many lives of small kids. So we had some water crisis. But in spite of that, Flint used to be number 5 richest city in the United States in 50s, because this way the General Motors, we have all the companies, we fabricate, we assemble Chevy, Silverado, school buses, Pontiac, Buick, many cars right in the city. So we are surrounded by Great Lakes, and on the left-hand side is Michigan, and then we have Superior, Huron, Ontario, Erie. So we also do trim races. I do run and walk 10 miles, 16 kilometers, to keep myself a bit active. So Cutting University was founded by General Motors long time back in 1919. So now it's more than 100 years old. We offer undergraduate with a co-op. So ours is primarily Engineering and Management Institute, and our students work in a company 3 months. They come back to school 3 months, go back to company 3 months, so they alternate. So they only come twice, the undergraduates, to the institute. Other 6 months they work. So they got a lot of experience. But the master students, mostly international students from India, China. We would like to get some people from Thailand too, and other countries, and of course Canada. We used to get the people from Canada, but not much now. So we have engineering, and then of course administration. So I'm going to quickly talk about responsible and irresponsible innovation that the previous 2 speakers already presented. The reason why it's a repetition is we all know that if you hear once, you always forget, because we got 2 years and we need to keep something in between in the head. So that's remembrance. So that happens only when you see. And then if you do something, then you understand better. And the best thing is always to teach. Then of course you become better and perfect. So I think these 3 are Chinese proverbs that we already know. So that's where if you repeat what the 2 previous speakers represented, so hopefully you'll keep something in your brain. So once again, the responsible innovation means you take care of the future, through collective stewardship of science and innovation in the present. So it requires a lot of thinking to digest this sentence. Okay. So there's so many stakeholders in order for this to happen. RI is the responsible innovation in terms of science, technology, industrial production, etc. So these are all very important that the previous 2 speakers also presented. There are few principles of responsible innovation. The first thing is you need to build trust. That's very important. And then trustworthy technology. So once you buy a car, you buy a bicycle, you eat food, okay, in a restaurant, you're trusting the restaurant owners, you're trusting the car manufacturers, you're trusting the dealers, you're trusting the mechanic, you're trusting your teacher, you're trusting your parents. So trust is very important. And then you need to build that trust. It's not just given to us, you need to build it. So that's a very important thing for innovations. Whether you introduce a new class, introduce whatever in your college, that's very important. And then you focus on finding ways to better connect technology with humanity. That's very important. So at the end of the talk, I want you to do something for your college, not just in theory. Of course, you need to write papers as research scholars, etc. But I want you to do something in practice as an engineer. That's what I like. And then build a bridge between the people, business, and all the stakeholders, not to make money. So these are the principles core in RI. So the research and innovation for social value, also presented by previous speaker and also the first speaker. And then you need to consider all the impacts, negative and positives about the innovation. So stakeholder participation is very, very important. That's what the previous speaker was talking about. You can't work in isolation and build something that nobody is going to use. Build means not just building. I'm talking about a process, product, whatever. So we need to include all the stakeholders. We typically do it nowadays in engineering and also in classrooms. You put everybody, not just only the administration, not just the teachers. There are all many stakeholders, including students, their parents, everybody. They're all the stakeholders. So it's very important to keep the transparency in the process. So the common themes, again, of RI, this responsible innovation, is holistic way, social, ethical. Ethics is very important. And we have environmental, cultural, economic benefit. So these are all the things that the previous speaker also emphasized and giving different examples. So why we need to choose this topic, innovations or future values in education? Because India, in the context of India, is 70% still agri-based, agriculture-based. So we have farmlands, and of course villages. So therefore, all the innovations have to be all the educational innovations, future innovations in education. They need to gear towards the village atmosphere. And also, the reason why we chose the topic is to draw your kind attention as research scholars, faculty, and administrators. Very important to draw your attention, to do something, to understand the intricacies, and also, again, as I said, to do something positive, not just theory, okay? Not drawing plots like this one. Remember, because of innovations, for many years, almost 100 years, there's a 30% increase in the cultivated land, but energy inputs per hectare, and then artificial fertilizers, all these things we already know that. So really, the innovation, technology innovation, gave us food. It's very important, right? So, but basically, we're all eating oil, not soy, oil, because of fossil fuels, okay? We're all eating oils. So, we need to keep that in mind. Responsible innovation, again, is making new technologies work for society. It's very important. In this case, society is a college, the students, education, classes, courses, without causing more problems than they solve. Okay? So, ergonomically friendly devices, there are quite a few. We have many disabled people. They are behind the scenes, but now they came forward. And ergonomics also means those who are not strong. For example, myself, I'm not very strong, but I'm in USA, so most of the equipment they use, for example, today we get a lot of snow. So I need to remove the snow. One way is to buy an electric snow blower, but it's pretty heavy for my stature. So ergonomically, it's not really friendly to me. I need a smaller device that I can operate. Well, we have those, but they're not very efficient. So the people here obviously are very strong, like Punjabis, for example. So you guys are very strong in Punjab. So, but you need to earmark all the other common persons in India, for example. That's what I mean by ergonomical. Ergonomic also is convenient, ergonomical, so you don't get hurt. Now, the previous speaker talked about alternative learners, we don't want to call them disabled people, but they're alternative learners. They learn in a different way. So, depending on their uh, limitations of understanding in a so-called normal way, we need to target them. For example, when I'm teaching classes, I had at least 5 so far in about 5 years, alternative learners. They don't identify themselves. They are sitting in the classroom, but I soon quickly understood I do have one alternative learner. This student uses a magnifying glass he can see, he can hear, but he needs a magnifying glass when I'm writing on the board. So you need to look at the magnifying glass. So now, after a couple of classes, I printed much bigger letters when I give class lectures, right? The handouts or the notes, much bigger font size. So that really helped him a lot. He said, thank you very much. I didn't know that. And nobody else did that. I said, it's nothing for me. So we need to target the education, any courses. We need to really target them too, all the innovative ideas. They should be environmentally friendly, very important, sustainable, manageable. So that the food.com, I'll give a couple of examples. One of them is agarbatti machine. There are quite a few now. There are more than 3,600 machines in India. Incense stick is agarbatti. So they use in Thailand, in India, all Asian nations. I had a student in IIT Gandhinagar. She was not doing well in the classes. So he was always smiling himself. This was in 2015. So he asked me, can I do a project on agarbatti machine? I said, okay. I thought he's just joking. But finally, he became an entrepreneur. He innovated an agarbatti machine, and then he, a big shot. So he said, I come from a village, and I see my folks making incense sticks with the hands, and then they also hurt themselves. So you want to make a machine. Now, I'm not just talking about engineering only. There's humanity and a culture behind it. So you all heard about food guy, Ajit, from Kanpur. So the flowers are used a lot in India. So how do you recycle it? There are a lot of negatives, and he got some hurdles to go through to recycle the flowers that are offered to God and to recycle it. They said we need to put them back into the river, Ganges. Obviously it's going to get, will be polluted, but he can, so probably some of you heard this, but it's just a benefit of our neighbors or other listeners. So they make incense sticks with the flowers. They take the petals, and they also give education, employment to the people here in Kanpur and also everywhere else. So they're all the innovations which are responsible. So we need to keep in society. They're also irresponsible innovations that we know. Now, there are different opinions about this. I irresponsible. So, not to innovate at all is irresponsible innovation. So, we become dependent slaves on technology. So, we became dependent. Therefore, we got caught up in this vicious circle to innovate new things, and some of them become irresponsible innovations. Previous speaker, they talked some examples of it also. Now, exponential self-replicating nanorobots, again, there are different opinions about it. I have no opinion about any of these things, but definitely not to innovate is some problem. Okay, so you consume the entire biosphere. That's what will happen. That's what people are afraid of. Genetic modification, we all heard about it, and also has some implications. In the current status, some more research needs to be done. Okay, limited availability of educational rural areas. So we have many devices, but we need to keep that in mind and not become irresponsible innovations. Okay, so that's what in the context I wrote it here. So how do you innovate so you make it more available? And the previous speaker in their efforts from the government of India, they're commendable to bring education to the rural areas in many, many different ways. Energy consumption, water consumption is a big thing for me. I always, we have a lot of water here in Michigan. As I said, 5 lakes, even in Canada, in Thailand. India also has it. But the water consumption should be very carefully monitored because otherwise you'll have problems. No, waste management is a big thing. There are a lot of innovations in dealing with waste and a lot of advances in it. Now, accidents caused by negligence, product recalls, again it goes back to the trust. So they're all the irresponsible innovations. Now, ethics is a problem by organizations, including landlords. So how does this fit into responsible, irresponsible innovations? Because I know it's true everywhere. They put something and they say, hey, that's it. For example, renting houses. So they innovate something that's not correct. So what do you do about it? So the previous speaker also mentioned the human behavior comes first, rather than pretending that technology will solve all the problems. So I think human behavior is very, very important. So we need to be honest, etc. It's very important. Okay? Now there are always dilemmas. Geoengineering to get the energy. So the dilemma, should we support it or do not support it? Now water softener systems we use in many parts of USA. We get the bore well water, also in India, bore well water. We need to use salt, a lot of salt for the reverse osmosis system. And then a lot of the salt is wasted back into the ground. So that's a big problem for us. But then without this, I won't get pure water. We can filter water. So what do I do now? That's the dilemma. It's not a good invention or innovation to put salt. Then the genetic modifications, COVID-related vaccines. So some of you mentioned, some of the other speakers. So there are reservations to take COVID because in the long term, no one knows what will happen. So there's some negative thinking about COVID. It's a dilemma. So the other examples I gave, playgrounds that are never used, buildings that are never used. So how do we innovate those things? So for salt, for the roads cleaning in Michigan and some other states, we use salt or gravel for better attraction. And some of you know it, some of you heard about it. A lot of salt is wasted, goes to the ground. Okay. So again, we chose this topic to do something positive to the other audience. Who are this other audience? To reach out, help the underprivileged, very important. To enhance their purchasing power, that's the bottom line. It's very important. Whatever we do, educational reforms, whatever we do, is to reach out, help those people. As students, as faculty, as citizens, that's what we need to do. So RKM stands for Roti, Kapda, and Makan. So it's a food, clothing, and shelter. They're the basic three things that we're all looking for. I'm earning only for those three, correct? So there's a demand, supply, we need to balance those. No games in it, no bad innovations in it, and no destructive innovations in it. We need to match those, okay? Supply and demand. It's very important. So the context is food is stored in storage rooms, Food Corporation of India, for example, silos. So it should be evenly distributed. The distribution, if there's any mismatch, it's going to cause problems. So that's what this one is. So now with the COVID, we have a lot of problems. Logistics, how to distribute where, how, okay? You might think, okay, I'm going to my local stores and I'll buy my food. Why am I worried about all these things? Remember, somebody is bringing the food to us to table from the farmland. So the logistics and distribution supply chain, if you get disturbed, then of course no innovation no inventions will help. So we need to innovate something so you get food from farm to your table directly. So people migrating from villages to cities, so obviously it's causing problems. So we need to think about it. It's a dilemma, right? So what I taught today is not really new. We all know those things. So previous two speakers and many of us know this. You read it, you teach it. You are more experts than I am. So I didn't do anything. So definitely, all I can say is stay healthy. Then only you can help somebody else. If you are sick, you can't do nothing. Get the best that your college offers you as students and faculty and staff. Please make the best use of your college's facilities. There are quite a few, and help them out. Be honest, very important. Honesty is the best policy. Frugal life, simple life, it's very important. I'm in USA. We do very simple life here. Help the peers in the society. Obviously, respect everybody. So enjoy the nature. Obviously, eat good food when it comes to job. When it comes to your place, with the Pradesh, anyway, in Lower. I'm going to try all this good food. The coexistence and tolerance is very important. I'm from south, you're from north, east to west, nothing. USA, India, yeah, nothing. We all coexist and tolerance is very important. And love is very important. So, I told you initially, so this is confusing. Tell what to tell. I told you what I want to tell, and then I told you, and then I told you what I told. I think you need to repeat this in the classrooms too. It's very difficult because we can't remember. So this is general off-the-topic comment I'm asking. You don't have to answer this right now. We see a trend in this upward trend in the student grades during this pandemic period. I'm not sure why the grades are higher during this time. I don't know. Even my class, am I teaching better? The students are listening better? I don't think so. Out of 90 students, I only see 2 or 3 students participating. So I don't know. I don't know the answer to it. So thanks very much. I'm sorry I might have taken more time. Any other questions?
Thank you very much. Professor Raghu, you have wonderfully given the note that human behavior is more important than technology to solve the problems. A good message you have given. Similar type of message was given by Dr. Thonburi, who said wonderfully well that technology has impact as it is perceived. And Professor Eugene also gave a similar type of message. Thank you very much. And I will just hand over to Dr. Balia, who is going to take it up.
Thank you, Professor Malhotra. I hope I am audible to all.
Oh, yes, you
Yeah,
are.
fine, thank you. At this outset, let me first of all convey my thanks to everyone, all the people who are gathered here in this conference. And first of all the resource persons, the experts who have rendered their valuable time for this conference. We had, in the first session, we had Professor Bean, coach, who did talk about re-engineering innovation skill, and there it was a very wonderful session, very informative, where he did talk about how could we develop the ecosystem, and with the ecosystem which actually, that evolve the climate of innovation. And that was the thing, I think, and that's very, very connected with the theme of which the
मैं सर अभी थोड़ी देर में बता दूं सर आपको
in this conference.
हाँ ठीक है सर
On the behalf of all the executive members, especially Professor Malhotra, Madam Bawa, and people from the organizing team, the host, university, and all the people, all the delegates, on behalf of all teaching fraternity members from the country, I convey my thanks, gratitude to all the resource persons. Professor, you've been, we are really thankful to you for your wonderful contribution at Fees here. And I'm sure that in future, infraction also, you'll continue your services, you'll continue your deliberations with GERA and all kinds of infractions we have. Let me share with everyone that we in GERA we keep on organizing every Saturday some sessions where we do talk about different issues, different so kind of micro level infractions we keep on organizing every Saturday in evening time from 7 to 8. And that's a purpose actually we all like kind of convey our gratitude, and we are all here with the blessings of Professor B.K. Pasi, because that was his approach that we should keep on maintaining dialogues, we should keep on maintaining our interaction. And so at this outset we all convey our gratitude to the people who have gathered here. Madam Sarosh Sharma, Professor Sarosh Sharma, Chairman NIUS, who actually, I think that the institution, as she was sharing, that are doing wonderful task in the country in terms of, because our country is having so much of divergence in terms of socio-cultural kind of determinants. And in that way, NIUS doing a wonderful task. And all kind of courses, the pattern, the kind of services, as Madam Saroj was sharing with us, that how could we do that, strike the balance between the access, equity and quality, and there the kind of services NIUS and many other institutions who are contributing. So I'm thankful to, on the behalf of everyone, to Professor Sarosh Sharma for sparing her valuable time for this session. And also Professor Raghu, who will talk about responsible innovation. That was a very unique kind of interaction. We all had been listening to him, because though we do talk about innovation, but there has to be some kind of trustworthiness, a trustworthiness of technology, and how could we maintain balance with the outcomes, how could we see that innovations which we need for, it should be responsible, or it should be accountable, and we should have, all the users, all the stakeholders should have a kind of faith and of trust on the thing. And that's a big question in the post-COVID-19 or this era, and especially for the last 2 years. Too much of changes, too much of innovations have taken place. And in this way, I think we have to go for responsible innovation. So Professor Raghu, upon every behalf, I'm thankful to you for contributing the valuable time. And though you said that you changed the topic, but that change was really a blessing for us. It was really a blessing for us. So all the participants, all the delegates across the world who have joined this session, on the behalf of GERA members, on the behalf of GERA Executive Committee, I convey my thanks to everyone. And let's hope that in future we will keep on interacting, we'll keep on meeting. Professor Malhotra, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Balia. You have wonderfully done the job, because 3 lectures were really wonderful. They shared their views, and there was one line which was cutting across all of them, which was saying that human behavior and technology has to be linked in such a way so that they are effective and they are helpful to each other rather than just.
Yeah, Professor Raghu did talk about technology and humanity. Technology and humanity. That's
told in the same way.
Yeah.
Only language was different in both all the three, but the message was the same. Thank you each one of them, Professor Raghu, Professor Sarosh Sharma, and Professor Eugene. Thank you very much. We shall shift to the next session. That's the technical session. Thank you very much, please. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Malhotra sir. Thank Babaji. Thank Bhairaji. Thanks very much. We'll see you next time.
So, Professor Raghu, you know jalebi.
जलेबी नहीं, आप तो पंजाब आएंगे ना, वहाँ पे छोले भटूरे खाएंगे.
अच्छा, welcome.
छोले भटूरे और इतना बड़ा जो चाय वो तो पीना है.
Sir, you come to Jammu also, sir.
जम्मू आएंगे साहब, जम्मू तो आएंगे साहब.
Okay, thank you very much.
Good night, sir. I'm sorry.
Over to Professor Baba, please.